Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Ankylosaurus. Okay, so this is my most complicated pattern so far, but it's not hard. It's just a bit involved. You're going to need a 31 peg, the 24 peg, the 12 peg, and a little 8 peg to make all the pieces. There's also quite a bit of sewing for this one. So let's get started. We're going to start with the most complicated piece, which is the body, the main body. So you're going to need 3 colors for this project: a lighter belly color, a darker color, and then a worsted weight color for the spines. I'm going to start with a slip knot. Wrap your yarn around your 2 fingers, leave a space, put it on the back, push it through, pull up a loop, and we're going to do the drawstring cast on. So go behind your first peg, in front of the second peg, behind the third peg, and so on in a zigzag pattern all the way around. And for the 31 peg loom, when you get back, you're going to lay it across the front. That's different from every other video that I've shown you with the 24 peg, because it's an odd number. So we're going to knit over on every peg that has a loop on it already. So we've knit over on peg 2. We're going to lay the yarn across peg 3, knit over on peg 4, and so on like that all the way around. When you get back to the end, you're going to lay your yarn across peg 1 and peg 31, and then knit over on peg 1 to keep it in place. And for the body, for row 1, we're just going to knit the row. So we're going to do the U-wrap knit. So you're going to half wrap the peg from left to right across the front and knit over, wrap it around, knit over, and we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, once you got your row 1 done, we're going to go ahead and tie on the second color. So grab your second color. This is for the back, like the top, his back. Make your slip knot and attach it to the first peg. And then just tie these together. Nice and tight. Keep it tight to the left. And then hold on to the tail and your first color. And release that slip knot. Pull it out. And now you've got 2 colors to work with. Okay. So for the second color that we just added, we're going to knit from pegs 1 to 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, now we're going to go back, even though it is shorter, to continue turning it all the way around. We're going to go back. This is going to help keep it from getting twisted up, your 2 different colors. Go back, grab your first color, the belly color, and we're going to knit from pegs 31 to 20. So that's 31, 30, 29, scooch these down, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, and 20. Okay, so now There's naturally going to be a twist in these yarns. Your second color is going to want to go to the right. Your first color is going to want to go to the left. And we're going to continue to twist it. The second color, always the same way. The second color is already underneath. We're going to continue wrapping it around. And we're going to then knit over. There it is. On these two pegs, just to secure those in place. And we're going to knit back on the same pegs that they were originally knit on, so that we're creating a block of color, not stripes. Once you finish your secondary color, go backwards, grab your belly color, and knit that one. All the way up to peg 31. And then when you bring these together, let go. They're going to be naturally twisted in the way that you want them to be, laying towards their own colors. So when you knit over, now they're no longer twisted. So remember, you have to knit your second color to the right, your belly color to the left, and always go back. So row 3, yeah, that was row 3. Row 4 is the same thing. You're just gonna go and repeat that process. Row 5 and row 6 are the same thing, and I will see you back at row 7. Once you finish row 6, remember you have to do both colors to complete the row. And always do them in the same order or it will get twisted up. Once you finish row 6, row 7, we're going to throw a wrench in this and add a third color. Don't freak out. Take your worsted weight spike color, tie a slip knot, and we're going to, oh, hang on. Twist these around first. And we're going to attach that to peg 19. And tie it onto your second color. Okay. So we have 3 colors right now, but it's only going to be for a minute. Knit over one on the belly color to secure it, and we're going to knit with the second color, pegs 1 to 4. Alright, I gotta fix that. 19, 18, 17, and 16. You're going to bring your spike color over, and we're going to slap some stitch markers on there on the next 2 pegs. This is 15 and 14 if you have your pegs marked. And we're going to use the spike color to knit over these stitch markers. Found it. And then go back. That's 2 rows. Turn around again. That's 3 rows. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. And 9. 9 rows back and forth on those 2 pegs. Bring your stitch markers back up onto the pegs. So now there's going to be 2 loops on each of these 2 pegs. You're going to take your second color, knit over all 4 of those loops. So you can do them one at a time if you want, or you can scoop both of them up at once, doesn't matter. Then you're going to grab this spike color and tighten it. Knit over on the next peg with your second color, and then these next 2 pegs you're going to mark with your stitch markers and use your spike color to knit over. And you're going to do 9 rows here again. Alright, bring your stitch markers back up. Use the second color to knit over those loops. Don't forget to tighten this. Knit over on the next peg, just one, and then you're going to mark these next 2 again. There's going to be 4 of these, so this is number 3. It's going to be a little tangly, but it's okay. We're almost done. Gonna knit over, tighten at the next 1 peg, last one for the row. Mark your stitch markers. Scallop 9 rows on these 2. Okay, and this time you're going to use your secondary color to knit over those 2 pegs, tighten, and then cut this. And you can set that aside. Tie this off so that it doesn't go anywhere. And then use your secondary color to knit the rest of the row. It should be 4 pegs left. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't forget to go back grab your belly color and finish the row. And now it should still, where am I? That'll twist it up, but nope, we're good. Wait. Oh, that was my bad. We're still good. Okay. For row 8, 8 and 10, we're going to repeat the pattern from rows 3 and 4. So you're just going to knit so that the green covers the green, the brown covers the brown, or whatever colors you have for rows 8 and 10. So you should be back to the anchor peg when we come to start row 11. My bad. 8 to 10 is 3 rows, so you should be over here at the back. 8 and 10 is not 2 rows. There's a 9 in the middle. Okay, we're here at the back. Wait, what is that? We're going to continue to twist these around each other and secure them in place with the first stitch. And for this one, you're going to do your secondary color as normal. But when you go back to do your belly color, we're going to grab some stitch markers again. You're going to need 3, so you're going to have that first peg knitted. You're going to mark the next 3 pegs with stitch markers. 1, 2, 3. Use the belly color to knit over those 3 pegs. There's your row 1. Turn around, and we're going to do 17 rows with this belly color on this scallop stitch, back and forth. So there's 2, there's 3. Once you have your 17 rows, you can scooch these stitches down a bit. It'll make it easier to bring the stitch markers back up. Okay, so now there's 2 loops on these 3 pegs, and we're just going to leave them there for now. We're going to knit using the belly color for the next 4 pegs. We're going to mark these next 3 pegs with stitch markers again and do 17 rows just like the last one. Okay, we got 17 rows. I'm going to take those stitch markers off, and then you should have 1 peg left over. We're just going to knit that peg. And that was row 11. So row 12, again, you're just going to knit your secondary color as usual, and then when you go back to the belly color, you're going to have these pegs with 2 loops on them, and we're just going to knit them over as if they were one. It might be too tight, it's okay, you can just do them one at a time and you won't have an issue. Okay, we're ready for row 13, which is just a repeat of row 7. So we're going to twist these around and secure the first stitch. And now knit 3 more stitches. Tie on your spike color. And the reason that we are tying it on and cutting it off every time is because there's no real way to keep it from getting twisted besides picking up the skeins and moving them around. So this is just easier. You can't really not twist up 3 colors. So to keep yourself from getting a headache, we're just going to tie it on and tie it off every time. There's only 4 rows that have these scallop stitches. So you're just going to repeat row 7. So you have knit, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs. You're going to scallop stitch 9 rows on the next 2 pegs. Use your secondary color to knit those 2 pegs and a third. Scallop stitch 9 rows with your spike color on the next 2 pegs, and use your secondary color to knit over the loops on those 2 pegs plus a third, and so on like that until you get to the 4th scallop stitch where you're going to tie off your third color, your spike color, just like we did for row 7. Alright, and from here on it's just repeats. So you know how to do all the rows. You're just going to, from row 14 to 18, repeat the pattern of color blocking. Row 19, you're going to repeat row 7 again for your 3rd row of scallop stitches. Row 20 to 21, you're going to repeat your pattern of color blocking. And then row 22, you're going to do the other half of the legs on the belly color. 23 and 24, you're going to repeat the pattern of color blocking. 25, repeat row 7 again for your last row of scallop stitches. And then 26 to 31, repeat the pattern of color blocking. I really recommend buying the pattern for this one so that you can see it written down. There's only so much that I can do for the video tutorial. I can show you the more difficult parts, like getting through row 7, the way to do the color blocking, but it's a little bit technical, and especially the repeats, you're going to want to see it written down. The dinosaur patterns are all going to be sold together, so you're going to get 5 different dinosaur patterns, and as always the patterns are just $5, so that's 5 patterns for $5 there. So it's well worth the money if you really want to make the Ankylosaurus. This is, like I said, the most complicated pattern that I have, and it's not difficult, but it is very involved. Okay, you may notice that the ratio of colors has switched. I realized that I was doing it completely backwards, so I had to take the whole thing out and restart. But anyway, that's not important. When you get row 31 finished, you're going to cut the secondary color and tie it off, and then use the belly color to knit 1 full row. Then we're going to do a drawstring cast off. So measure out the length of the loom. And scoot your stitches down a bit. Then you're going to half wrap the peg, just like you've been doing. knit off, but then pull through. Okay, knit, pull through. And we're going to do that all the way around until all the stitches are off the loom. Okay, once it is free of the loom, you're going to stretch your stitches. Just like that. Find your cast on tail, and we're going to tighten that. Might not go all the way around right away, so you're going to have to tighten it as much as you can. Hold that tight, your tail, and then manually sort of scooch this along. And once you have scooched all the way up to the end, you should be able to just pull the rest of it. Grab a needle. Make sure, so many tails in here. Make sure this is nice and tight. And slip your needle in through the middle. You're going to find what's left of the hole, go in on one side and come up on the opposite side and tighten that. Go in where you went in last time and come up just next to where you came out. Leave a loop. Go in through the back of that loop. And then pull that tight. That's your knot. Go ahead and stuff this. And then pull your cast off tail tight. And we're going to make a knot again. Okay, put the needle in through right next to that knot, come out anywhere at all, and pull it tight to pull the knot to the inside. And then you can just snip this, give it a little squeeze, and it'll disappear inside. And there's your body. Squish it around till you're good with the shape of it. And these scallop stitches here, you're going to sort of pinch and tug at them so that they stand up like this. And it looks more like a spike than a, whatever this is, a little row. Okay, and that's the body complete. These scallop stitches down here are for your legs. If you have trouble with the placement like I do, having these scallop stitches here, we're going to make leg caps to go over them because these are too small for the legs for this big fat dinosaur. We're going to make leg caps to go over them, and that'll make them bigger, but you can skip these if you want, if you have no trouble with placing your legs evenly spaced apart. I can't do that, so I do this. Okay, the next hardest piece is the tail. It's very similar to the body, but it's way smaller. So let's see, tail is down here. We're gonna cast on in belly color again, but only from pegs 4 to 9. So you're gonna put your slip knot on the anchor peg, and then lay the yarn across the first 3 pegs, go behind peg 4, in front of 5, behind 6, in front of 7, behind 8, in front of 9, and wrap around 9. And then that's how you draw string cast on flat for those couple of pegs. So you're going to knit over there, knit over here, and then wrap around the 4th peg again and knit over on peg 5. That'll secure it in place. And then continue knitting to finish the row. And now we're going to start increases. So just wrap it around the front to back, and then lay it in front of the previous peg and knit off. So now we're on row 2. I'll show you again. Wrap in front, in front, behind, and then in front of the previous peg, and then knit over. And we're going to do that until all the pegs have a loop on them. That'll take you up to row 7. You finish row 7 and it'll be done. Okay, once you finish row 7, for row 8, we're going to begin knitting in the round. So in order to do that, you just go and continue on to the next peg. We're going to knit 2, and then tie on the secondary color. Once you have the secondary color tied on, you're going to knit pegs 3 to 9. So that's peg 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then come back and then do the rest of the pegs in the belly color. Okay. And then just like the body, you're going to twist these around. So that the same colors stay together. And you're gonna do that, let's see, up to row 10. So once you finish row 10, we'll start the scallop stitches. So for row 11, we're going to twist these around and secure the belly color. Leave the second color for now, because we're going to tie on the spike color. Okay. And grab one stitch marker and put it on peg 9. And then you're going to use the spike color to knit 9 stitches back and forth on just that one peg. So that was 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Bring your stitch marker back up, take it off, use your secondary color to knit over that peg, and the next one. Don't forget to tighten. And then, so that was 9, 8, peg 7 you're gonna mark and do your 9 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Use your secondary color to knit that peg. And the next one. Should have 3 pegs left. Wait, 4. 1, 2. That was me. I had the wrong number of pegs wrapped. The instructions are correct. I made a mistake. So your next peg, so this is supposed to be 3 pegs left, so you mark this one and do your 9 rows. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Use your secondary color to knit over that one. Tighten that. Use the secondary color to knit over the next peg, and you should have 1 left to make your 4th scallop stitch. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, knit over with the secondary color, tighten your spike color, snip that, and tie it on. Okay, now you can go back and knit your belly color half of the row. And that was row 11. Then from 12 to 16, you're going to repeat your same pattern of going back and forth, just like you were doing with the body. So for row 17, you're going to repeat row 11, which means you're going to make a scallop stitch on peg 9, skip peg 8, make a scallop stitch on 7, skip peg 6, make a scallop stitch on 5, skip 4, and make a scallop stitch on 3. With the spike color. Once you finish and you tie off your spike color, you are officially done with scallop stitches for this project. So next, 17, 18, 19, and 20, you're going to repeat your regular back and forth pattern. Once you finish row 20, you can cut your secondary color. Tie it off. And then without doing any more knitting, we're going to do the drawstring cast off. And we need a long tail for sewing, so we're going to wrap the loom twice instead of just the once. Cut your yarn. And it's the same as before. You're going to half wrap your peg, knit over, pull through. Once it's free of the loom, you can stretch your stitches. And when you pull the cast on tail, you'll notice that there is a hole here. We're going to sew that up with the cast on tail. So thread your needle, send that through all the way so you can pull this inside out. Sorry. And then you're just going to start sewing up this hole. And then once you have your last stitch done, you can make another stitch, leave a loop, and again put your needle in through the back to make your knot. Turn it right side out. Stuff all those tails inside. And then you can stuff this. It's not going to need much because you want it to keep its shape. Where is, yeah. Okay, you take the body and we're going to tighten the cast off tail just a little bit to neaten up the edges. And you want this to line up as best you can with the rows on the body. So about there. I'm gonna use some pins. I can get this open with one hand. Okay, that ought to do it. And then you can just use your cast off tail to sew this on. Whoops. Since you're using a different color to sew up across the top, I recommend tightening it as much as you can. So do 2 or 3 stitches, and see, you can see the brown through the green, but then just tighten it and it's mostly gone. Just be careful not to snap your yarn. Some yarns are stronger than others, and I have definitely snapped yarn trying to sew things together. Okay, same as before, you're going to pull up a loop or leave a loop and go in through the back. Oops, forgot to tighten it. Oh well. And then you're going to go in close to that knot, come out anywhere, pull that tight, snip it, and give them a little squish. And that's the tail. These are the 2 most complicated pieces. The head has some color work, but you're going to be used to that by now. And it's pretty straightforward. There's no scallop stitches, and there's no more scallop stitches throughout the whole rest of the project. And then after the head is done, everything else is super simple. So for the head, we're going to use the 24 peg loom, and you're going to start in, where's the head? Yeah, start in belly color again. And it's going to be similar to the tail, where you draw a string cast on, but the back half. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pegs, go in behind peg 7, and you're going to go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Wrap it around peg 18, lay it back, and then you can start knitting over every other peg. Wrap it around peg 7 and knit off on peg 8 to secure it in place. And you're going to do the same thing you did with the tail with the increases. So your row 1 is going to be, whoops, knitting these 12 pegs or 11, and then you just wrap it around the front, up through the back, and in front of the previous peg, and there's your increase. So once every peg has a loop on it, you should have finished row 13. Okay, once every peg has a loop on it, we're going to go ahead and knit in the round, and you're going to knit 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you're going to tie on your second color. Not you. Alright, and you're going to use the second color to knit peg 6 up to 19. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Go back and use your belly color to knit the rest of the row. And just like before, we're going to twist these colors around each other. So that you end up with blocks of color. And you're going to do that until you get to row 20. That should be 22. I'll fix that. So you should be, let's see, we just did row 14, so from 15 to 22 you're going to continue doing your color blocking. Alright, once you have your 22 rows done, you can cut your secondary color, which is this one. Don't mess up. Tie that off. And we're going to go right into the drawstring cast on again. So wrap your loom 1.5 times about. Okay, and just like the tail, we're going to have to sew up the hole in this one. So stretch your stitches, pull the cast on tail, turn her inside out. And sew this up. Alright, once you've made your knot, you can turn this right side out. Make sure all the tails are inside. Pull the cast off tail just a bit to give it some shape. And then we're gonna stuff it. It should look like a little shoe. at this point. Okay, pull the tail. Tight as that'll go. And we're gonna sew up the hole a little bit. I recommend putting a couple of stitches in the head, but okay, and then send that through to the bottom. Now, right now it's just an egg, but squish the nose and kind of crush that, and you should have a relatively flat head. And we're going to sew this to the body, but we want to cover up this brown strip here. So you're going to want to pick up a stitch or two on the body, and instead of going so close, we're going to go a little higher up to sort of bring that together. It'll be bringing your head down for now, but we're going to go all the way around like that. We want the head extra close to the body. Okay, when you get to the part where the secondary color is, start picking up just the secondary color on the head. As well as on the body, but you know what I mean. Up a stitch or two on the body and just there. Don't forget to tighten it every 2 or 3 stitches. What? Okay. Oh, he's a little sideways. That's okay. Okay, so you should have a almost invisible seam here. Alright, next is all easy stuff, just tedious. So what you're going to need to do is grab your 12 peg loom first. We're going to do the legs. So you want your belly color. Shoot, where's the end? You're going to drawstring cast on your 12 peg loom, all 12 pegs. You're going to knit 7 rows, just straight knitting, and then drawstring cast off. For the legs, don't forget to wrap your loom twice to leave a long tail for sewing. Okay, once it's free of the loom, you can stretch your stitches gently because it's just a small piece. Pull your cast on tail, that'll be the smaller one. And we're just going to secure this with a knot on the inside. So put it through to the inside. Okay, and you can stuff it with the cast on tail. Pull the cast off tail just enough to shape this into a little bowl, just enough to neaten the edges. Okay, and now you can put this over the scallop stitch on the belly. And you're going to want to pick up a stitch on the body and then just a stitch or two on the leg cap, not the nub underneath. Okay. That looks better. So you're going to need 4 of those, 3 more, to get all the legs done. Once you're done all 4 legs, we can start working on the side spikes and the head spikes. So you're going to grab your spike color, and it's really simple again. Just make your slip knot, drawstring cast on, and we're going to do 5 rows. It's going to be super small. Just 5 rows, and then the drawstring cast off. Make sure you wrap your loom at least twice for a long tail so that you can sew it on. Once it's free of the loom, you're going to pull the cast on tail to tighten it completely, and then make your knot. And we're going to stuff it with the cast on tail. And then you're going to pull the cast off tail just enough to neaten the edges so that it looks like a little spike. And now here's the part you're not going to like. You need to make 12 of these. 4 for each side and 4 for the head. For sewing them on, the placement is you're going to want them to line up with these rows here. And you're going to want it at about the bottom of this color change. So about right here. Let me see. Okay, so they line up and they're along the bottom. They're approximately in a straight line, so you're going to want to do 4 on this side and 4 on this side. So once you got those 8 spikes on, it'll look like this. And then you should have 4 left, and we're going to put them on the head. So two of them are going to go on the sides, just like the other ones. Like that. So you're going to want to put it in about this position here where the color changes so that it lines up with these ones. And then the other 2 are going to go on top. So that they are pointed out slightly. Not straight up. You want them pointing out like this. So now he's going to look like this. All of those spikes. I've tried the pattern with larger scallop stitches. It just does not look nice as sewing them on, unfortunately. But there's only 1 piece left. So you're going to need your 12 peg loom and your secondary color. And you're just going to do drawstring cast on, 10 rows, drawstring cast off. Once again, don't forget to do a long tail for the cast off so that we can sew it. You're going to pull the cast on tail, make your knot, go ahead and stuff that tail in there. Okay, just a little bit of stuffing. Alright, we're going to sew this to the tail. Don't close it all the way. because we're going to use this opening to sort of put it on there. Okay, once you got it sewn all the way around, make sure that your tail is coming out the middle of either the top or bottom, doesn't matter. And then you're going to wrap the tail, it's a little hard to see, but wrap the tail around and go in through the middle and come out exactly where that tail is coming out again. Make sure it's right in the middle, and you're going to pull that tight. Do your best not to break the yarn. And then go through a second time. Pulling it tight. And that'll give you this shape so that it's separated into two pieces. Go ahead and make your knot. Send that tail through. And that's it. If you added safety eyes to the head, you're finished. And if you want to embroider your eyes, I'll leave a link in the description for a TikTok video that I made showing how to do that. So that's it. Thanks for watching.